Today, we're going to discuss money, everybody's favorite topic, and waiting time for loads. A lot of drivers who have been with BH Xpress for a long time are used to a certain standard. They're used to loads paying anywhere between 90 cents to $1.20 per mile. At the end of the week, they're used to seeing their average $1.10, $1.20, $30 or more. Lately, these prices have dropped. Not because BH Xpress is bidding lower just for the sake of bidding lower. Please understand, our number one priority is keeping you, the driver, happy. The happier you are, the longer you'll stay with BH Xpress, the nicer things you'll have to say about BH Xpress to your friends, and the company grows that way. We're always focused on the long term, how to keep drivers with us for as long as possible, and how to keep our customers happy. When I got into this industry about 5 years ago, it was very common to get loads that paid $2 or $3 per mile. I remember doing many loads for 300 miles that paid $600, $700, $800, or even $900. Nowadays, the reality of the situation is competition is getting much, much bigger, meaning that there's more vehicles on the road, and prices are therefore dropping. The only option a lot of companies who freshly enter the market have is to bid cheaper prices than everybody else. Naturally, if a broker or a customer has a load available, they get an offer from BH Xpress, who's been in the business for 5 years and who's done maybe thousands of loads for that company, and they get an offer from ABC Logistics, who's been in the business for 6 months and they've only done 1 or 2 loads for the broker. Naturally, the broker will want to use BH Xpress or other more reputable carriers who have been in the business longer, who have done more loads and proven themselves more. So therefore, if we're bidding $1,000 for that load, the only thing that ABC carrier can do is bid $600, $700, or any amount that's going to undercut us in hopes that the broker will want to go with them purely based on the fact that their price is cheaper. So again, 5 years ago when I entered into this industry, there were far less companies, there were far less vans on the road. There was the same amount of freight. Now, there's still the same amount of freight. The freight has not really grown, meaning the number of loads has not really increased. There's far more carriers and vans on the road than there were back in the day. So similarly, drivers that came in and joined BH Xpress 2-3 years ago, they're experiencing the same thing. Every load is different, every day is different, every scenario is different, every lane is different. So sometimes we get more, sometimes we get less. But overall, it's safe to say that prices have vastly dropped over the years. Now, you as the driver have a decision to make. Do you want us to get you more freight, more loads in a week? Or do you want to wait longer to get those ideal high rates that you're looking for? Please understand that this is a either-or scenario. You cannot have both. We have established very good relationships with our brokers and our customers. So very often they tell us what the other prices that they get are. To give you an example of a 1,000-mile load, on average, the broker or the customer gets anywhere between 15 to 20 offers or bids from different companies on that load. Those offers on a 1,000-mile load are going to range anywhere between $600 to maybe $1,500. Everybody provides their price. The broker or the customer disqualifies the carriers that they don't want to work with due to previous late arrivals, poor communication, or any other problems on a load. And then they're left with, say, between 10 and 15 offers to consider. In theory, they always want to go with the most reputable carrier, meaning the carrier who's on time, who answers their phone, who doesn't have any issues, who doesn't give them any kind of problems during the load. But in reality, price also plays a big role. So to give you an example, if BH Xpress is bidding $1,000 on this lane and ABC Logistics, the brand new company, is bidding $600 in order to get the load because they don't have the same reputation that we have. Very often the broker contacts us and says, BH Xpress, I want to work with you. I want to give you the load. You can have the load, but you have to lower your price. I have another offer from another company at $600. You're offering $1,000. Now, we may not have to lower our price to $600. Very often we can meet somewhere in the middle because the customer, the broker, many of them are still realistic. They don't expect us to match these ridiculously low prices that these other companies are offering. but they will use that other price as a tool to bring our rate down. Our dispatchers consider everything when deciding to take that cheaper price or not. We have tools that tell us how many other vans and vehicles are in the area, and they are constantly looking for loads 24/7, so we have information on how frequently loads are coming out of that area. So to give you an example, if by 12 o'clock we've noticed that there's only been 2 or 3 loads available from a certain area, and we see that there's 25 Sprinter van and cargo vans available there looking for loads, then the dispatch team will be more likely to jump on any opportunity we get, even if it requires us to drop our price, because they are aware if we don't take this opportunity, you may not get anything else all day. Just consider the fact that if there is 25 vans available and a load is coming out every 2 hours, it's very competitive and difficult to get that load for a good price. Please understand that in this industry, we don't have dozens of loads to choose from. In many areas, only one load comes out every 2 or 3 hours, and the competition is always high. What is the solution to all of this? 3 things. Number 1, you as the driver have to find a company that you trust and dispatchers that you trust. You cannot be happy working with a company if you're going to doubt every single move that they make. Now, whether that's BH Xpress or another company where you work at or where you will work at, trust in that company's integrity, knowledge, skills, and abilities is key and crucial. If our dispatch team takes a load for you for, say, 80 cents per mile, you have to understand that the reason the dispatcher took that load is because he considered how many other vehicles there are, how many other loads there are, historically how that area has been. Perhaps last week we had a driver wait in that area for 3 days and we couldn't get the ideal price. There's many factors, but you have to understand and trust that the dispatcher who took that load considered all of those factors and made the decision that this load, despite it not being the best paying load, is the best option for you. In many instances, we take one load for 80 cents, 70 cents per mile, and then the very next load ends up being $1.50, $1.20, $1.30 per mile. Drivers who do well in this business are people who can look at the big picture rather than focusing on individual loads. Drivers who end up making the most money are people who never complain about a load, who take every single shipment we can get them and they're happy to do it, and they understand and they trust at the end of the week, at the end of the month, the bad loads, the good loads, they will balance each other out. On the opposite end of the spectrum, the drivers who are unhappy with every load that pays less than whatever ideal price they have in their head are very often people who end up waiting the longest and making the least amount of money at the end of the week. As I mentioned earlier, it is in our interest for you to be as happy as a driver as we can possibly make you. That obviously means getting you a lot of work and making sure that the loads that we give you are as good of paying loads as we can get. But we are restricted by our competition. We cannot possibly get you 90 cents per mile when there's 15 or 10 other companies in that area willing to do that same shipment for 60 or 70 cents per mile. Our reputation can only go so far, meaning if we are the best company on planet Earth who is never late on a shipment, who has never caused any kind of a problem with a customer, if we will still not be able to get the prices that we want. Because if we're trying to get 1,000 on a shipment and the customer has options for 600, 700 on a shipment, we will not be able to keep our drivers as busy as we would like because of those low prices. Number 2, we all have to continue to do a good job. In this industry, people have short-term memory. There have been customers who we worked with for years without having any kind of an issue, doing an excellent job on every single shipment. And then there's an issue on 1 or 2 shipments, meaning a driver is late, he doesn't answer their phone, we can't get a hold of him, we have to cancel a load after we book it, and all of a sudden that customer no longer wants to work with BH Xpress. They forget about the 100 shipments that we did well, and they're only remembering the 1 or 2 that we dropped the ball on. This is why we're so strict with drivers when it comes to certain things. The unfortunate reality is that the actions of one driver can cause 100 other drivers to miss out on loads and money. So to give you an example, if John gets dispatched on a load, he ends up being late to pick up because he takes a long time to start driving, and that customer gets upset at us, as they rightfully should, then 100 of our other drivers will pay the price. Meaning that when that customer or broker has a load available in California, in Texas, in Washington, in Florida, or wherever you're waiting, and we place a bid on that load, they're going to remember what John, but they're not going to think of it as John, the driver, doing this. They're going to think of it as BH Xpress being late to pickup, BH Xpress being late to delivery. Ultimately, it is not worth for 100 drivers to lose out on loads and money and have to wait longer because of the actions of one. So we are going to continue being very strict when it comes to communication, when it comes to being on time, when it comes to overall being responsible. If we see drivers who are irresponsible towards these things, and we believe them to be bad for business, which means bad for every other driver, we will get rid of these drivers. And number 3, BH Xpress will continue to look for ways to stand out from our competition. We will continue to innovate and find reasons to give our customers to choose BH Xpress over any other carrier. We need your help on this. No matter what we do internally, if the driver is late, if the driver doesn't answer their phone, if we have to cancel loads after we book them because the driver has a change of heart or because we can't reach him, it will not be enough. At the same time, us doing a good job on loads is also not enough. So we promise our drivers that we will continue to grow as a company and find ways and services to offer our customers to make them want to work with BH Xpress and even pay more money than another company. I really hope everybody made it to the end of this video. I want to thank you all very much for your hard work, dedication, and commitment. It is not easy doing what you do. It is not easy being away from your families for 2-3 weeks at a time. It is not easy waiting for a load all day and then getting a load at 10 p.m. at night and having to drive all night. It is not easy driving when it's windy outside, when it's raining, when it's snowing, when there's ice on the road, and other difficult conditions that you have to go through. As somebody who spent time on the road, I completely understand your struggle, and I really appreciate the sacrifice that you're making. Thank you all very much for your time. Be safe. Have a wonderful day.